Reporting to you from the nearest coven, witches are apparently powerless against Trump. The CBN reports witches report their spells against Trump aren't working. He has a shield. You can't make this shit up. Hello. Hi. Welcome. Oh, wait. On a more positive note, because I wanted to mention that, apparently 4chan, anonymous 4chan user found a UFO in the Antarctica. UFO egg that was specified. This is the UFO egg. Enjoy. So we're gonna investigate that tomorrow, actually, with my, well, not tomorrow, the day after, sorry, on Friday. We're gonna investigate that with my Patreon members. So you know, just you have something to look forward to. Okay, hi, welcome to the stream. And if you're new here, I'm FEARSONA, you can call me Sona, and I'm your friendly neighborhood true crime VTuber, here to give you full body chills as always. And I gotta say, I might have overdone it with this case. She's really starting up strong, isn't she? Vance, hello. Shy, Dino Alex, Baxter Black, Vance, Rune S, Dino Alex, yes. Melissa, hello. Daddy JB, hi. Welcome to the stream. Demon Taker, hello. Thank you for tuning in. You guys, I might have overdone it with this case because, explain overdone. Well, picture this. I have 11 pages of notes and 58 slides. So it's a tad, it's a little bit a lot. Wait, does that make sense? It's a lot. I found a lot of information on this case, and on top of it, oh my, damn. Yeah, I was just finishing slides right before the stream. To the very last moment, I had to finish the slides. But there's a lot of information on this case, and also I might have overdone the part, well, I mean, not overdone. I might have just like got frustrated and went on a little bit of a rant. Tom, thank you so much for the first super chat of the stream. Thank you so much. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Right before the case. Oh God, later you're gonna say like, oh my God, this was a long as case. I'm worried that it's gonna take more than 2 hours to talk about it. Maybe not. But I might have got frustrated. I might have got irritated because one part of this case is such a mess, that you guys are gonna go probably in the chat like, what the fuck, who are these people, what is happening, where does this go, where is this going? Because it's gonna be complicated. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna be pretty long and complicated and just super fucking messy and just super, oh god, the perpetrators are just, what the fuck, who are these people? Undead Rabbit, hello. Joshua, thank you for the super. Thank you so much. Can I cook that egg? Hi, Sona, how are you? I mean, you can try. Apparently, the egg has, well, I mean, if you're, wait, let me just pull it up again. So if you look at it, this doesn't actually show it, but apparently there was a close-up. I do have a picture of, like, the close-up of the egg, and there are some, like runes on it, maybe another witch coven, but yeah, there's apparently like a lot of runes on it, or something that looks like runes, and people have been trying to decipher it. So we're gonna be talking about that tomorrow. I'm just letting you know right now. Well, not tomorrow, god, I keep saying tomorrow, not tomorrow, the day after. So on Friday evening, I have a hangout with my Patreon members. This one is for Platinum, Ruby, and Diamond tier Patreon members. You guys can tune in, join the voice call with me, and we're gonna be talking about this. So if you have any information, bring it, and definitely talk about it. Definitely mention it. I'm gonna bring my information. I'm gonna compile some some of my information and just, you know, talk about it myself as well. Okay. The day after tomorrow, yes. The day after tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So yes. So we're gonna go on a little bit of a tangent about the alien egg. What if it is an egg? What if everyone is saying like, oh, it's a UFO, it's a UFO. Yeah, they are calling it an egg. What if it actually is an egg, and something is gonna hatch out of it? That's not a good prospect. I don't like that. I don't like that vision. I don't like that possibility that it's an actual egg. hibernating in the Antarctica, waiting for the global warming to like melt the ice. And then it's just gonna be like, oh, okay, well, now's my time to shine. Can we tax the alien egg? I mean, I don't think we can tax it. I think the egg is gonna tax us. And that's gonna be a tax that's too high for humanity. It might be cute though. Yeah, sure. Have you seen any of the Alien movies? That's what's gonna hatch out of that egg. Can we scramble it first? I don't think anyone can get inside that egg. I think it's you know, well, I mean, the government is in denial. They're like, no, there's no egg. This is not real. But it's like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. The pictures are kind of very, you know, convincing. Well, I mean, if it isn't, then great. But if it is, the pictures are pretty convincing. Joshua, thank you so much for another super. Can I eat what comes out? I don't believe it's edible. I believe it's radioactive. It might be, if you want to eat some, you know, cosmic plutonium, sure, go ahead. Oh god. Okay, guys, this is not the this is the first stream of the week, and I'm really starting off strong. Like, this case is gonna be super fucking long, and obviously it's gonna be tragic. This is a case of one Japanese woman who ended up being a target on the dark web. Well, it started on the dark web, and then she ended up being a target for, you know, well, we'll see. You guys are gonna see. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna be a long case. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna be frustrated. You're gonna be pissed off, and you're gonna just be like, who are these people who are doing this? Where is this going? Where does this end? I mean, we know where it ends, but I have to say, I'm betting right now, at one point you're gonna be like, there's no way they committed this crime. Like, who are these guys? There is no way that they were capable of committing, like, of actually pulling this, and yet they did. Okay, so oh no, we got this, right, Angry Mob? Just get ready, Irfan, hi! Hello, Sona, it's been a long minute, hey! Good to see you again, and see you're doing well. I am doing well. Thank you so much for coming back to the stream. I hope you enjoy. Alright, so this is the first stream of the week. Tomorrow's stream is actually cancelled because I'm stupid and I forgot that I do have a plumber coming over, because I have to change the filter, like this water filter in my faucet in the kitchen. So I forgot that I scheduled it for tomorrow, and so it's in the morning, so I can't really stream in that case. But we're gonna have some more, obviously, like, we're gonna have a spooky hangout with my Patreon members on Friday, and then we're gonna have a case on Sunday, and I have what do I have? I have a collab with Plotty, Plot Twist VT on her channel, and it's Carmonized, so we're gonna be singing, hey, and hunting some ghosts. So ghost hunt, going on a ghost hunting adventure and singing to just, you know, hype ourselves up. Okay. Am I late? No. I'm just starting. We haven't started the case, so you're not late. Don't worry. We're actually starting right now. So let's get right into it. Are you guys ready? Are we ready? Okay, we're ready. Let's go. Let's do this. In the summer of 2007, a shocking crime unfolded in Nagoya, Japan. One that left people in absolute shock. It started with a desperate phone call. A man, trembling with guilt, dialed the police and confessed, quote, "We kidnapped a woman, stole her money, and buried her in Gifu Prefecture," end quote. It was a chilling admission, one that would set off a chain of events leading to the unmasking of a gruesome and calculated crime. Well, a series of crimes. And what led up to it was just, what a mess. Also, Joshua, thank you so much for another super. You're breaking your rules, Sona. No ghost hunting. Well, I mean, this time, yeah, like, it's not gonna be on my channel. You know, and also I'm not going alone. I'm gonna be with a friend. So I guess that's okay. Okay, so that man was later identified as Kenji Kawagishi, and he was found sitting in his car in a parking lot just hours after committing an unthinkable crime. He surrendered to authorities, leading them to a forested grave where the lifeless body of 31-year-old Rie Isogai lay, half buried, kind of sloppily covered with a little bit of soil, like they didn't even bury her completely. But Kawagishi wasn't acting alone. That's why I said, like, oh, they didn't bury her completely, because he wasn't acting alone. His confession revealed two other accomplices. His accomplices were Tsukasa Kanda and Hori Yoshimoto. Yoshimoto Hori. I mixed it up. Yoshimoto Hori. So Yoshimoto is his name, and then his last name is Hori. So those three met on the dark web and were preparing for their next victim as police closed in. So, Kenji confessed. He called the police. He was just like, okay, I'm feeling too guilty. I'm gonna turn myself in. But the other two, like he told the police, the other two were preparing for the next crime. So tonight we unraveled the terrifying details of Rie's final hours, how she ended up on the dark web's hit list, and the twisted plans of her killers. What drove these three men to commit such heinous act, and how did one phone call bring the reign of terror to an end? Let's dive in. It actually began with a chilling post on the shadowy corners of the internet, a dark website ominously dubbed as the dark, quote-unquote, dark employment agency. On August 16th, 2007, Kenji Kawagishi, using a pseudonym Yamashita, posted on the dark web's message board, and he said, quote, "I just got out of prison. Would anyone like to team up and do something together?" End quote. If you need friends, post on Twitter, on Facebook. Oh, you don't have to include like, hey, I just got out of prison. Would anyone like to team up together and do something together? Just say, do you have to go on that? I mean, yes. I mean, you know what the dark web is for, right? Dark web is like the darkest of the darkest corner of the internet. You can't just access it from a normal browser. You need a special browser for that. Don't do that. Like, don't ever go to the dark web, because you're gonna find some very disturbing content, and obviously, like, you can hire someone to murder someone. So there's murder for hire stuff. There's definitely illegal drugs. There's definitely all those shady business. So yeah, Kawagishi posted like, "Oh, I just got out of prison. Would anyone like to team up and do something together?" Obviously suggesting not a dinner, not grabbing a coffee at Starbucks, not grabbing matcha latte, but committing a crime. This single post was the spark that drew together three men, strangers at first, but bound by a shared willingness to cross any moral boundary. The first to respond was Sugiura, a 29-year-old using a fake name. So this was not his name. His name was actually Yuichiro Hondo. So actually there were like four of them at the beginning, but the reason why I'm saying three, so this was him. The reason why I'm usually like saying three, because only three of them in the end were involved in the murder itself. And you're gonna find out who. But yeah, so Yuichiro Hondo was the first one to respond to Kenji's post. And days later, Yoshimoto, a 32-year-old, joined the conversation, posting a scheme as chilling as it was simple. He said, "It's just pocket money, but we can abduct someone and force them to withdraw money from their accounts." End quote. So this is not, it's not like, yes, it's serious, but at least it doesn't seem like Hori is, planning to murder someone. None of them are planning to murder anyone yet. But they're talking about robbing someone. They are in desperate need of money, all of them. Meanwhile, another reply came from KT, a man who, so Tsukasa Kanda, but he was going under, with the username KT. A man who didn't bother with aliases, like he used his actual initials. Desperate and broke, Katie confessed, quote, "I used to run telephone scams, but now I'm ready to try robbery," end quote. And the wheels of their dark plan were in motion. But before it actually got there, boy, boy, they messed up a lot. So on August 21st, Kenji and Hori finally met face to face for the first time at a family restaurant near Hori's home, and they swapped exaggerated life stories and concocted their next move. Driving Kenji's car, Nissan Liberty, they picked up Yuichiro Hondo and went for the nearest city called Toyokawa City. And it was there that they debated their methods. Safe cracking, office burglaries, and even abductions. So they were just like, oh, what do we do? What's the best way? What's the best method to get money fast? Like, how do we get money out of someone? What's the easiest way? Like, oh, should we break into a store and try to get to their safe, to their register? Should we just break into an office building and maybe they have some money? Or should we just actually abduct someone and force them to give us their money, so rob them? One of the most unsettling suggestions came from Hori because he proposed targeting a regular customer at a local pachinko parlor. If you don't know what pachinko is, it's basically, pachinko is a slot machine. So pachinko parlor are essentially like gambling parlors, right? Like those are legal in Japan and you can just go to them and play some pachinko. So Hori suggested targeting a regular customer at a local pachinko parlor who often carried large sums of cash. Like he somehow knew like who this person was, and they were like, yeah, this guy carries a lot of cash, like we should target him. So the men agreed and they gathered their tools: cotton rope, handcuffs, and a hammer purchased specifically for the job. And it sounds serious. Like it sounds like, oh, they really mean business. And, you know, they know what they're doing. Like, oh, they're criminals. One of them like just got out of prison. They really know like how to handle this stuff. But oh boy. I know I'm laughing right now. I shouldn't be laughing because it's serious and it got to a serious crime. But before it got there, oh my God, what a mess. So the trio headed to Nagoya City, intending to ambush their target in the underground parking lot of the pachinko parlor. And their plan was meticulous: follow the target in his Lexus, locate their home, like the target's home, and strike when the moment was right. But unfortunately, luck was not on their side. They lost sight of the Lexus midway, so they lost him, and then the plan fell apart. So this was fail number 1 in their whole like criminal plans. Okay. Sounds serious. Yeah, like they were serious. They were definitely serious, but the execution, however, was kind of sloppy. Frustrated, but undeterred, still determined, Kenji informed KT. So KT wasn't with them yet, but he informed KT of the failure and arranged a meeting at Kanayama Station that evening. What followed was a chilling discussion of their next steps. KT, who painted himself, KT, right, like the last one to join them, he painted himself as this hardened criminal that means business, super serious, involved in the criminal underbelly of Nagoya, and just, you know, very, very serious, like possibly the most serious of them all and the most like no-nonsense criminal of them all. He arrives at the meeting spot on a scooter. A hardened criminal arriving to their secret criminal meeting on a checks notes scooter. I don't want to sound a tad bit disappointed, but yeah, I was, you know, if I was organizing a secret meeting from the dark web, I'm not gonna lie, I would be a little skeptical about someone being a tough, no nonsense seasoned criminal if they pulled up on a scooter. I'd be like, are you serious right now? Really? I guess that was very anticlimactic. But he pulls up on a scooter and he's just like, no, I know what I'm doing. I am a seasoned criminal. I have connections. Trust me, bro. But they're like, okay, then at least have a car. At least one of them had a car. God, if they were, oh my God, I just thought of this, but like if this was their only form of transportation because none of them had a car. Thank God, like, I mean, thank God. No, thank God. Not thank God, because in the end, like, they killed someone. So obviously horrible, and they deserve the worst. But had they not had a car from Kenji, it would have been very embarrassing. At least roll up in a Ford. At least rent a car. Yes, like on one hand it makes sense, on the other hand, like, oh, maybe they didn't have, right, like they didn't want to leave any trail, like, oh, rental car, but then on the other hand they used their own car, like Kenji used his own car, so yeah, evidence. That's true, never mind, rent a car. This is not a manual how to get away with murder, by the way, like, so don't commit crimes, but Jesus. So KT claimed ties to organized crime, like he claimed that he has some ties to Yakuza, and he offered suggestions that turned their sinister plans even darker. Okay there, Scooter Boy. But wait, because he had ambition, and I can give him that. He did have ambition, and he did have a plan. So he proposed forming a secret organization selling drugs and abducting women to force them into the sex trade. Oh God, sex trade. So yes, it sounds legit, but then I can't take him seriously because the Scooter. When Hori displayed the hammer, like he showed the hammer, the gloves he had purchased for their schemes, KT asked the question that would seal their intentions. He asked, quote, "Wouldn't hitting someone with this hammer kill them?" And then he asked again, "If the target sees our faces, do we kill them?" End quote. Neither Hori nor Kenji objected. They were kind of quiet. And in that moment, their conspiracy started to take a deadly turn, one that would culminate in a horrific crime, because now they started thinking like, oh, are we only willing to rob someone, like threaten someone and rob someone, or are we willing to kill them to get rid of any witnesses? The story of Rie's tragic end isn't just about the crime itself, it's about the dangerous level of desperation that brought these men together. Money. They were desperate for money, and this is what drove them into killing someone. So let's start with Kenji Kawagishi, aka Yamashita. So that's the nickname that he used online, but he was named Kenji. He wasn't just some anonymous criminal. At 40 years old, Kenji had been navigating the dark web for nearly 8 years. Through his mobile phone, he engaged in a range of illicit activities, from scams to fraud. Never murder, but scams, fraud, robberies. Back in 2005, he was caught running an "it's me" scam. So like, oh, it's me, your son, or it's me, your grandson. Like that's a common type of telephone fraud in Japan. Like, oh, I need some help, grandma, or usually targeting older people. And he received a 1 year and 2 month prison sentence. So that was the sentence that he finished, and then he immediately posted on the dark web. Despite the conviction, he returned to the dark web driven by financial desperation. He was out of money again. Tom, thank you so much for another super. Looks like these three did not use honey. What? Well, yeah. Okay, so then we have KT. At 36, KT was no stranger to crime either. In 2006, he was convicted for his involvement in a fraud ring that also relied on the dark web. And his sentence was 3 years in prison, suspended for 5. But like Kenji, KT's debut and struggles pulled him back into debuted in crime, but then also debts and just struggles overall pulled him back into the shadows of cyberspace. So he went back on the dark web to seek partners in crime, to maybe make it easier for himself to commit more crimes and get more money. And finally, we have Yoshimoto Hori. At 32, Hori's life was in a downward spiral. Evicted from his home after misusing a cohabiting partner's money, he bounced from place to place, seeking a way out of, mounting debt. So he was also in a mounting debt. In his search, he stumbled upon a dark web platform ominously named as the Dark Employment Agency. So this is where he met Kenji and KT. It was through, this site that Hori first sought work in debt collection and recovery. But when he wasn't paid for his efforts, so he actually did some work as a debt collector, and he wasn't paid, frustration set in, and he began posting ads of his own. So he started looking also for partners in crime, and that's how he came across Kenji's post. Okay, so meanwhile, Kenji's life was unraveling. He had quit his job at a temp agency and was living in his car basically to avoid any debt collectors. So he was deep in debt as well. His car was the Nissan Liberty, which was later used in the crime, had been acquired through an insurance fraud scheme orchestrated on the dark web. So this was also not really his, legally acquired, legally purchased car. So there's that. Nothing about their lives was real or legal or true. Man, how did this happen? So as part of this scam, Kenji had been instructed to stage a charcoal burning suicide in the vehicle and destroy it to cover their tracks. So this is how it actually went down. That's how he acquired the car. And yeah, somehow the car just ended with him, right? And then just kept the car. So these three men, each with their own failures and financial struggles, were drawn together by a dangerous mix of desperation and opportunity. Their shared reliance on the dark web became the catalyst for a crime that would shock Japan and leave an innocent woman dead. Before we get to the tragic events, I will go over the days leading up to the murder, because boy, a lot happened, and you're gonna be screaming in a minute. You're gonna be screaming in the chat, who are these people? By the time we get to the actual crime. That's why this case is so freaking long. Okay, are you guys ready? Because it's gonna be a lot. So August 22nd, 2007, their plans that day weren't just reckless, they bordered on absurd. The three of them were determined, or the four of them, because I guess the Hondo was with them. So the four of them were determined to carry out two schemes, targeting a wealthy regular at a pachinko parlor, again, and pursuing an outlandish idea to collect money from a child actor involved in a sham adoption scheme. I am not kidding. Their ideas were outlandish. I don't even know what this is about. The child actor running in a sham adoption scheme, why what's going on? I don't even this was mentioned in some of the sources. I couldn't really find what was this deal with the child actor abduction. I don't understand, but no one really went into details. They just mentioned it, and I was like, okay, so they were planning to abduct a child actor, or what is going on? Okay, so around noon on August 22nd, I love how in the chat, I'm sorry for laughing, but I love how the chat is just like, huh? The hell? What now? What the fuck? What the fuck is with scamming people? Well, the three of them are scammers, right? They are scammers and just robbers and just extorting money, that kind of thing. Okay, I'm gonna be out of breath by the time we're done with this. Okay, so around noon on August 22nd, Kenji and KT met in a Tsutaya parking lot in Narumi, waiting for their third accomplice, Yuichiro Hondo. To pass the time, KT and Kenji indulged in boasting about their fabricated criminal exploits. Obviously, they were lying. They were just straight up lying. just, oh yeah, I committed this crime, oh, and I did this and that, and I'm, you know, connected to Yakuza. They were all lying through their teeth, but okay, you know, they wanted to swing their dicks a little bit and impress each other with their crimes. I apologize for using the D word. I don't know if YouTube might like take this video down and like ban my channel. This might be my last stream. It was a good ride. We had a good ride. Okay, so during their exchange, Kenji showed KT a pair of handcuffs. KT was actually unimpressed, casually pointed out that, hey, the locking pin is a weak point, and you know, and he actually took the handcuffs and like kind of broke them, like opened them with a pair of pliers. So he's just like, oh, I'm so unimpressed, you know, that's a shitty pair of handcuffs. Okay there, Scooter Boy. I'm gonna keep thinking about him as Scooter Boy because I can't unsee that. As they waited for Honda, for the third accomplice, who was late, their impatience grew. Searching for alternative schemes, they turned to a dating website, hoping to lure and extort married women engaged in compensated dating. Like, apparently, I don't know. Like, their plans are just getting out of these plans. I love how they're just like, oh, we can do this. Oh, we can do, no, wait, we can go on Tinder and just extort money from someone who is married. Like, oh, we have to specifically look for someone who is married, or I don't know. Was there a specific, I think it was like a specific website for women who are married, but for some reason are like engaged in this like compensated dating, so they date someone for money. What is happening? Okay, but this plan also fizzled out, so fail number, I don't know, XYZ 2, 3, 4. By late afternoon, the two, so Katie and Kenji, met up with Hori at the pachinko parlor. They were still waiting for Hondo, but Hondo never, I think he never joined them that time, or did he join them? Well, we'll see. So the two of them met up with Hori, or maybe I mixed it up. They were waiting for Hori. Sorry, like it's just so confusing because they keep like separating and meeting up again. So they meet up with Hori at the pachinko parlor, and their target was the same regular customer from the previous day, the one that they lost, and he was spotted and followed to a luxury apartment in Chikusa Ward. They quickly realized that their plan was falling apart again because Katie noticed that the apartment building of that customer, of that pachinko parlor customer who is wealthy, is also, you know, there has multiple security cameras. Surprise, surprise, because it's a luxury apartment. And so they couldn't really get in. Hori really dismissed the idea, saying then it won't work. But Katie pushed further and said, quote, if you're going to be seen anyway, we might as well break into his room and kill him. Ballsy for a Scooter Boy. Ballsy, Katie. Okay there. Neither Hori nor Kenji objected, but the building's security ultimately forced them to abandon the idea for now. So fail number, who knows? But again, fail because they couldn't really get in. There were too many cameras. Surprise, surprise. Of course, someone who is wealthy, who they know is wealthy, is gonna be living in a nice neighborhood and a nice building that usually has a lot of cameras. So there's no way. By 6 p.m., they finally met up with Hondo. Oh, sorry. So the three of them, Jesus, my voice is I sound like a toaster. I'm sorry. Wait, let me just have a drink. Okay, so when they were planning the pachinko, you know, parlor robbery, it was just Kenji, KT, and Hori. And then by 6 p.m., they finally met up with Yuichiro Hondo back at the Tsutaya parking lot. And KT, already irritated by Hondo's tardiness because he was late, he escalated the stakes. He bluntly stated, quote, if we're going to attack the pachinko regular, we might end up killing him. Are you okay with that? This is a decision we all agree on. And Hondo refused outright, saying, robbery, quote, robbery, murder only carries life imprisonment or the death penalty. I don't want to do it. So Hondo is kind of pulling back. I'm sorry, I have to clear my throat. Yeah, great. Thanks, throat. Thanks for being a toaster. So Hondo is pulling back. He's just not willing to commit murder because he's just like, there is death penalty. The death penalty is legal in Japan. It's a thing. And for murder, you are facing the death penalty. You can face life in prison, but yeah, there's a possibility that you're going to be sentenced to death. So he's just like, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. To diffuse the tension, because the tension was growing, KT shifted gears, suggesting that they test a credit card under a false name that Kenji had acquired. So there's another plan. Hondo used it to buy 2 packs of cigarettes successfully, giving the group kind of a glimmer of hope. They're like, oh, great. Okay, so we can actually purchase something bigger, something more expensive, and maybe sell it later. So they attempted to use the card to purchase a gold necklace at a Don Quixote store. This is a very popular chain in Japan. Like, I mean, it's, I think, well, we have it here. We have it here in Taiwan. There's Don Quixote in Taiwan. I'm not sure if Don Quixote is actually in the States. Not actually sure, but yeah, it's very, very popular in Japan. You can literally buy, like, those are huge stores, like huge department stores, and you can buy literally anything from the cheapest things to like gold and jewelry and expensive stuff and electronics. So yeah, so they attempted to purchase a gold necklace at this, like, I like the penguin. The penguin is the best, and he actually says, like, because it's Don Quixote, it's like, it says do, like do. But yeah, this says Mega Donkey. Yeah, so that's a very popular chain in Japan. So they attempted to buy a gold necklace at the store, planning to sell it for cash, obviously. But then the transaction failed. And again, the plan failed. So this is fail number, I believe, 5. Who knows? Later that night, at around 10 p.m., they regrouped for one last attempt, a robbery at a darts bar in Nakagawa Ward, where Hori was a regular, like he knew this bar, which is a horrible idea, by the way. If you are a regular at this bar, that means the bartender or the owner probably knows you, probably recognizes you. Why would you rob a place that you visit so often? They are the worst. Oh my God. Who are these people? You would think that they are the worst criminals ever. Like, this is so embarrassing. Okay. So they scope out the bar, right? They tried to scope out the bar owner's residence, but nearby lights in a neighboring house made the area too conspicuous, and there were also cameras. Once again, they postponed their plan. The plan failed, and frustration was building among the group. Who are these people? They're so, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. So these plans may have failed, but their intentions were very clear. They were willing to escalate to extreme violence to achieve their goals and to get that money. As their string of failed schemes piled up, it kept piling up, fail after fail, so did the tension among the group. By now, KT was taking control. He was trying to assert himself as the leader, pushing for an even more extreme plan, the abduction of a young woman. The idea was chilling: kidnap her, steal her cash card or credit cards, extract her PIN, and then eliminate her to cover their tracks. So this was like his plan. He suggested it. They discussed potential targets such as hostesses and sex workers, but KT dismissed hostesses as unlikely to have much money, and Kenji actually raised concerns about the difficulty of escaping busy areas like Nagoya Station or Sakai Station. Hori also opposed targeting sex workers. He said they are the most likely connected to Yakuza, so organized crime. With no clear target, their plan again stalled. Like, they weren't sure. They were like, okay, we have to do this, but we have to decide on the target. Later that night, KT and Hori left, leaving Kenji and Hondo alone, and it was during this time that Hondo vented his frustration about KT. He said that KT was looking down on him and he didn't like that. He even suggested forming a new group with like Hori and Kenji, so the two of them, excluding KT altogether. What is this? Dark Web Power Rangers? Powerpuff Girls? Stop! Go home! Get a job and pay off your debts instead of committing crimes. How about that? And then arguing like high school girls. Like, what is high schoolers? Not even girls, high schoolers, like forming cliques, trying to form a new club. What is this? Boo-hoo! He doesn't appreciate me. He is looking down on me. How about you don't commit crimes? Don't. I'm sorry for screaming, but don't commit crimes. Go home and just... Oh my god. Oh my god. Listen, I know I make it sound like these people are such an embarrassment. They are, but at the same time, that doesn't mean they aren't evil and didn't commit something unforgivable, because they did, and we will get there. Now they decide betray. I don't know. They are like arguing and they are like shitting on each other and gossiping, and they're just like trying to backstab each other. This is what you learn from these cases. You can't find friends on the dark web. You're not gonna find any besties on the dark web. Just don't. Don't commit crimes. Don't go on the dark web. Okay, I'm okay. There's a thing called life that they didn't get. I don't even know. These three are nothing more but the three stooges. Imagine making a TV show out of this case and it's a comedy crime show. That would be interesting. I don't even know. Like, I think I'm too pissed. After knowing this case, I'm just like too pissed. I couldn't watch this. Shy, thank you so much for the super. Remember, guys, it's only a crime if you get caught. I mean, good thing that they did get caught because someone lost their life. But I hope, like, I wish they had gotten caught, like they were caught before, obviously before the murder, because this is an embarrassment. They should have been like just put in prison and just, I don't know. Okay, so on August 23rd, to prepare for another crime scene, Kenji purchased adhesive tape while Hondo shoplifted a knife from a nearby store. Despite their preparations, they failed to find an opportunity to rob either gas station or a pharmacy clerk that they had targeted earlier. So another fail after fail after fail. So again, they were just like, oh, they were preparing to rob someone, they were targeting this pharmacy clerk, but then they just didn't do it because they were just like, oh, too many lights, too many cameras, this is not good, so we're not gonna do it. I mean, it's good because they didn't hurt more people, but at the same time, Christ. So now I have to go now. No worries, Spitfire, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed. Frustrated and desperate, Kenji shifted his focus to a former employer's office in the nearby town, believing it had a cash box. So he believed that his office had some money. So he was just like, okay, we can, you know, we can just break into the office and steal the money from there. At around 12:15 a.m. on August 24, Hondo broke into the building by shattering a glass door with a screwdriver, so they finally are doing something. The two searched the office for valuables, but came up empty-handed. Tensions boiled over, and Kenji, angered by what he perceived as Hondo's disrespectful behavior, abandoned him at the scene and drove off. Oh my god. Oh my god. They just committed a crime. Hondo actually shattered the glass. Hondo actually broke into the office that Kenji picked, pointed to the office like, oh, this is the office. We have to break in there. Hondo actually followed his, his orders. And then because they turned out like empty-handed, they didn't get anything. Kenji got pissed and left his accomplice alone, stranded in a parking lot in the middle of nowhere. No. So Kenji is the one with the car. Hondo didn't have any scooter or any car. KT is the one with the scooter. So stranded in an unfamiliar area. This is the oh my god. They are such an embarrassment. So he was stranded in an unfamiliar area, Hondo, and he makes a surprising move. He called the police from a public phone to turn himself in. Hold up. You mean to tell me that this guy a grown-ass adult ended up in an unfamiliar area, like, oh no, I don't know this area, oh no, in the middle of the night. And instead of calling himself a taxi, or I don't know, like waiting for the morning train or waiting for a bus, because those are also available. Yeah, like not at night. Like there probably wasn't a train, because like Japan's trains don't run in the middle of the night. Like usually they end at like around 12, maybe 1, and then they restart at like 3, 4. So you have to wait a couple of hours, like depending on the area, you have to wait a couple of hours. But he was stranded in this like unfamiliar area, and instead of waiting for the train, the morning train, he just thought, meh, might as well call the cops, tell them that I shoplifted, tell them that I broke into this office building and I was just like conspiring with these guys, and get them to give me a lift to prison. Yeah, like he snitched on himself. No, he didn't. So he didn't actually snitch on them. He was just like, oh, I was the one, like I committed this. I broke into this office building, so I'm guilty. I'm gonna turn myself in. Yeah, he didn't snitch on them, at first at least. So at 3:20 a.m., he was arrested on charges of trespassing and attempted theft. During questioning, Hondo disclosed that he had met someone else, like an accomplice, through a through the dark web, through the dark employment agency, just a week earlier, but he didn't really reveal the name of this other person, and authorities investigating the case were not informed about this connection between Hondo and Kenji until after the murder, like the primary crime on like August 25th, right? Like later, like when they discovered the murder. So they didn't actually know that this guy was connected to the other 3. So this guy is out. This is where it ends, like for him. After another fiasco, Kenji sent an apology email to KT. So he just like turned away from, while he was like backstabbing them at first with Hondo. Suddenly, when Hondo is out of the picture, like when Hondo got, like he's out of the picture, Kenji sends an apology email to KT and Hori in the early morning hours of August 24th, trying to, smooth things over. KT turned to Hori and suggested, quote, should we keep using Yamashita, so that's the username, should we keep using Yamashita while he's still useful? And Hori, after speaking with Kenji directly, seemed to soften a little bit. He emailed KT suggesting that they consider Kenji's role, saying, quote, I think he now understands how critical reconnaissance and information are. Instead of using him, maybe we can consider him a partner. What do you think? Oh, how nice. How nice of you to keep him in your group of dark web Power Rangers. Like, what's how did Dumber and Dumbass kill someone? I don't know. You're gonna be surprised though. There's gonna be a plot twist. So KT agreed, and the 3 of them decided to meet later that day to just discuss their next move. Like, what are we gonna do now? So the team is back. By early afternoon, Kenji picked up Hori from his home, and around 3 p.m. They met KT and started planning their next crime. It was during this discussion that Kenji produced the knife Hondo had stolen, holding it up and, testing its potential. He said, quote, this could kill someone, right? End quote. And Hori, clearly pressed for cash, declared, quote, I absolutely need about 300,000 yen this week. 300,000 yen is probably like $200,000. Wait, is it? Yeah, because 100,000 yen is about $1,000, like a little bit less. I think it's like between $800 and $900. So yeah, like he needed about $3,000 this week. So it was back to the original plan. Baxter, thank you. Power Rangers, Dark Web Agency, go forth and crime. No, this is horrible. This is such an embarrassment, but there's gonna be a plot twist and you guys are not gonna believe where this is going. Okay, so back to the original plan: kidnap a woman, steal her bank cards, and withdraw as much money as possible. It was in that car, in Kenji's car, in those moments of agreement that the Nagoya High Court would later determine a conspiracy had been formed, a conspiracy to abduct, murder, and dispose of Rie's body. The plan was now set in motion, and the horrors that would follow were no longer a matter of it, but when. A matter of if, but when, right? So after agreeing to their sinister pact, the three of them took their plotting to a family restaurant in Nagoya. I love how they're just like, let's plan a crime over dinner. It was here over this like casual conversation over dinner that they began fine-tuning the details of their crime. They had already ruled out targeting sex workers, again citing concerns about their connection to organized crime, and again the difficulty of abducting someone from busy areas like Nagoya Station. Instead, Hori suggested that they go after a more inconspicuous target, a female office worker. He described the ideal victim as someone plain looking with black hair, likely in her late 20s or early 30s, someone who might live alone and potentially have significant savings. And unfortunately, Rie matched the description perfectly. Katie pointed out that their chosen day, so Friday, August 24th, was likely payday. And he reasoned that if they abducted the woman and detained her for a short period, they would be able to withdraw a substantial amount of money from her account. He added that targeting someone living alone would reduce the risk of an immediate police report and provide a convenient location to detain her. So her own apartment. This was their plan, right? Like, oh, abduct her while she's outside and then just force her to lead them to her apartment, and that's where they would just be detaining her and just force her to let them know, tell them give them the access to her accounts. The group then discussed a specific location to hold the victim, like instead of her apartment, maybe like if that doesn't work out, like where do we go, where do we hold her? And Hori suggested an apartment in Takabari, which is also in Nagoya City. And the apartment belonged to a former associate of his, someone tied to a previous crime involving the murder of a pachinko parlor manager and his wife. So there's that, you know, Hori knows someone. With a potential hideout secured, KT began searching for what he called a cash mule, which is horrible. And fuck this guy. So cash mule, right? Someone to withdraw money from ATMs via the dark web's employment agency. And when no one suitable turned up, they decided Kenji would handle the withdrawals himself. And they also selected the location for the abduction, which was the neighborhood along the Nagoya City subway Higashiyama line. It was like a lot of offices, you know, a lot of office workers, they work till late, but there's not that many people just kind of walking around there. So it's more like a business district. There's not that many people like walking around too late at night. Okay. So KT issued specific instructions to Kenji, warning him not to assault the victim in the car to avoid drawing attention. I don't know why he said that before this even happened. I guess he knew. I think like Kenji, I think it was mentioned somewhere, but like I think Kenji was just mentioning it. Like, oh, we can assault her. We can, you know, SA her. And he was like, in advance, he was just like, oh, I want to do this and that. And they're like, calm the fuck down. Don't do that, because it's just gonna create, you know, more attention. Like, oh, it's gonna draw attention to us, like especially if you just attack her immediately, like not even in a secluded area. Like, just calm the fuck down. So Katie told Kenji to stay with the victim overnight after her abduction, and Kenji agreed without hesitation because he was like just super excited to stay with the victim overnight, which is disgusting. By 7 p.m. on August 24th, their discussion was complete, and the trio left the restaurant with a clear and horrifying plan. I love that how this was just all discussed in a restaurant with like workers around. I mean, I guess there was like a lot of clients, this is 7 p.m. It's probably busy. Everyone is having dinner. So it's very likely that the restaurant was busy and no one really heard their discussion. But they're just like literally discussing this in a busy restaurant. Cool. Sounds like he treated it like a sleepover. I don't even know. I don't want to know. And he's disgusting. So they would find a woman who fit their profile, abduct her, steal her money, valuables, and to ensure there were no witnesses, they were planning to kill her. To cover their tracks, they would dispose of her body. The victim, 31-year-old Rie Isogai, a completely innocent woman, found herself in the wrong place at the wrong time, which resulted in her life being taken from her prematurely. Also, IDK Bacon, thank you so much for the super. Imagine if they put this much thought in a resume. I know! I'm like, can you just apply for it? Like, you took so many days, several days to like wasting time on like failed attempts at robbery and just like different weird like scam schemes or just crime schemes. Could have taken those days, like from August 17th to August 24th. So many days, almost 2 weeks. Could have taken that time to actually like, oh, you know, apply for jobs. There are plenty of jobs that can give you like at least some money to get by. Yeah, they're not gonna be, you know, fabulous, glamorous jobs or super high, you know, jobs with like a high pay, but they are still legal jobs and there's no shame in any job. So what the frick? I hate them. I hate them so much. Okay, so Rie, let's talk about Rie a little bit more. Rie was just days away from closing one chapter of her life and beginning another. She worked in Sakae, which was a bustling area in Naka Ward in Nagoya City. And she was actually preparing to leave her job by the end of August to pursue her passion for cooking. She was going to take a special course and, you know, get a certification. And she really dreamed of being a chef or being, you know, like of just immersing herself in her passion for cooking. With farewell parties and events marking her transition, because that's usually how it happens, right? Like you're like at least in Japan, like, oh, when you're leaving your job, like usually your coworkers want to kind of do a farewell party for you. So, you know, in the middle of this, she was having those parties and she was having, you know, like she had to work till late to kind of complete her transition from the workplace. Late evenings had become part of her routine. Unfortunately for her, that night, on the night of August 24th, that routine turned tragically fatal. At around 11 p.m., as Rie walked through Harusato town, she caught the attention of 3 men waiting in their vehicle. She matched the profile that they had agreed upon, a young woman plain in appearance and likely to have savings. The group wasted no time in deciding to make her their target. At around 11:10 p.m., Rie passed by their car on the right side. That's when Hori got out, pretending to ask her for directions. And as Rie stopped to respond, the attacker, just jumped at her, and Hori attacked her, covered her mouth with one hand, pressed her abdomen with the other. He restrained her from behind. Before she had a chance to resist, Hori forced her into the backseat of their car, that belonged to Kenji. Once inside, Hori handcuffed Rie her right wrist and sealed her mouth with adhesive tape that they had prepared in advance. She was completely subdued, unable to cry out or to fight back. Like, she was just so taken by surprise. She did not expect that. I mean, no one does. They forced her to sit on the floor of the car beneath the seats while they drove off into the night, heading for a location where they wouldn't be seen. Initially, the plan was to take Rie to an apartment, right? Like the one that Hori arranged. But KT had other ideas. He instructed Kenji, who was driving, to head somewhere less populated, and Kenji turned onto local roads, eventually deciding to go to Kiso Sanagawa Park as their destination, but that actually changed. Man, I'm out of breath because this case is just so frustrating. Yeah, so this started as a kidnapping, and there was still hope. Honestly, there was still hope, but well, they were giving Rie false hope. As they drove through the quiet streets, about 15 minutes after the abduction, Rie began to complain. She, like, the tape came loose, from her mouth, and she actually said that she felt nauseous. And Kenji, not wanting her to vomit inside the car, decided to find a place to stop. They pulled into the outdoor parking lot of a restaurant along Route 155 in Sayatown, Aisai City. So this is like outside of Nagoya. It was around midnight on August 25th when they arrived, and what happened next would transform a terrifying abduction into an unimaginable tragedy. The early hours of August 25th, 2007 brought the tragic culmination of the plan orchestrated by Kenji, Hori, and KT. They had parked their Nissan Liberty in an outdoor lot, right, like in that parking lot, and the nightmare began. So Rie was terrified and still restrained. She was, they took her bag, they took her money, which was 62,000 yen, which is approximately $400. And then they took her bag, they searched her bag, which contained cash cards and other belongings. When the men demanded that she, gave them her PIN, Rie refused to give it to them. This defiance led to a series of increasingly cruel actions. Kenji followed Hori's orders, retrieved a knife that they prepared, and he pointed it at her. Like Hori Hori just took the weapon to intimidate Rie further, threatening her with chilling words. And he said this: "If you don't give us the pin in 5 minutes, I will stab you." So that's what he said. Despite these threats, Rie actually stood her ground and she refused to comply. She was just like, absolutely not. I'm not giving you guys anything. Frustrated, KT ordered Hori to, quote, stab her 2 or 3 times. Wait, let me just... Sorry, I'm like wearing my glasses, but then I'm just kind of... my ears are hurting, so I had to take them off, and now I'm blind. Great. This is gonna be great. I'm never gonna tell you the ending of this case because I can't see shit. No, I can't. It's just... have to readjust. Okay, so frustrated, Katie ordered Hori to stab her 2 or 3 times, and Hori escalated his threats, yelling, quote, "Stop messing around. Everyone's irritated. Just talk," end quote. Unable to endure the terror any longer, Rie eventually provided a false pin. So she actually said 2960. She gave them the pin. Cliffhanger, the hell, man. Cliffhanger, yeah, cliffhanger, because I couldn't see anything. So she gave them a pin, but it was actually fake. She said 2960. Katie relayed the number to Kenji, who recorded it on his phone, seemingly recorded it on his phone, and to kind of keep it, convinced that they had the correct pin number. But the men's actions didn't stop there. Rie thought, okay, well, I gave them the pin number, I gave them the fake pin, maybe they will just leave me alone now, they will just drop me off here and drive off with my belongings. But they didn't. So as Hori and KT stepped out of the car to smoke, Kenji saw an opportunity, because he was a disgusting person. So he saw an opportunity to commit an even more heinous act. He attempted to assault Rie, slapping her when she resisted. Her screams drew KT and Hori back to the vehicle, and they stopped Kenji. They were just like, what the fuck, man? Didn't we just tell you not to do this? Because it's gonna draw attention. Like, what are you doing? But Kenji was just like, no, but whatever, right? Like, he wants to do it. Disgusting human being. Believing the assault was over, KT and Hori resumed their discussion outside. But Kenji tried again because he's a fucking idiot again. And just monster, leading to which led to more cries for help from Rie. KT, this time enraged, intervened once more and forced Kenji to just leave her alone. With the tensions high, the three men made their final irreversible decision. Rie could not be allowed to live. And that's, I think there was still a glimmer of hope, you know, like there was still some hope that after she had given them her, like, albeit fake, but pin, that they would like leave them. They were still like kind of hesitating. They were still like, okay, well, maybe we can just leave her here. But because this fucking idiot Kenji attacking her and trying to assault her, you know, Rie had to scream for help, and they realized like, okay, she's not gonna be quiet. So they decided, well, she has to die, which is horrible. And just all three of them are monsters. KT was the first one to act. He attempted to strangle Rie with his arms, with his hands, but failed. Hori then used the cotton rope, handing one end to Kenji. Together they were like trying to pull the rope, also like strangling Rie, like just tightening the rope around her neck. But the position in the car made it difficult to apply enough force, so they couldn't actually strangle her. Frustrated, Hori retrieved a hammer, the hammer that he had before, that he had prepared, and struck Rie's head 3 times. However, blood spatter, including some that entered his mouth, disgusted Hori, and he stopped. He didn't continue striking her in the head because like some of her blood actually got into his mouth. Despite her injuries, Rie was still alive, and this was like at the end of her rope. Like, she was desperate. She pleaded for her life. She told them, quote, "Don't kill me. You said you wouldn't. Please, I don't want to die." Monsters. Unfortunately, because it was a very secluded area and there was no one else, her cries fell on deaf ears, and obviously the perpetrators weren't going to stop at this point, and there was no one else to save her. Hori and KT wrapped adhesive tape tightly around her face, binding her nose and mouth. When they noticed that she could still breathe faintly, they placed a plastic bag over her head and secured it with tape. Finally, KT tightened the rope around Rie's neck while striking her head repeatedly with a hammer about 30 more times. By approximately 1 a.m., Rie Isogai was dead. Her cause of death was determined to be asphyxiation due to neck compression and obstruction of her airway. So it wasn't really the hammer, like her head injuries that were the cause of her death. It was the asphyxiation. 30, like they struck her in the head like 30 more times. This horrifying sequence of events underscored the cold, calculated cruelty of the 3 men, and just unimaginable terror that Rie had to endure in her final moments. How scared she was, how she was begging them to not to do it and begging them to spare her life, but they were never gonna stop. After her tragic death, the 3 men set their plans in motion to cover up the crime, so they weren't done. In an attempt to erase traces of their involvement, they made a stop at a vending machine in Inazawa City to buy water, which, then Hori used to wash away the blood of on his body. They also purchased clean clothes for all 3 of them at a nearby store. with Kenzie handling the transaction. Then their next move was to try to access Rie's bank account. At 2:56 a.m., they arrived at an ATM and attempted to withdraw money using the cash card. However, their efforts failed, not only because the PIN was fake, because she gave them a fake PIN number, but also because they didn't fucking remember the 4 numbers. She gave them the number, just 4 numbers, 2960. They didn't remember. Like, Kenzie really, like, he didn't really write it down like he was supposed to write it down on his phone. He didn't. And they fucking forgot. Yeah, they forgot the fake numbers, so they were trying, like, all sorts of combinations. They were trying, like, oh, every single combination, and like, was it 2950? Was it 2857? Like, what is it? Yeah, they just forgot, which, I mean, honestly, karma, you're not getting any money. So fail again. Realizing that they needed to dispose of Rie's body because she was still in their car, they discussed possible locations before deciding on a mountainous area in Gifu Prefecture. So it's like right outside of Nagoya, like next prefecture over. Driving along the Chuo Expressway, they entered a remote area through Gifu Prefecture, Route 33, and it was near Mizunami City. Along the way, they stopped at a local store. So you can see, like, oh, it's actually right outside of Nagoya. Nagoya is actually a different prefecture. It's Aichi Prefecture. So this is where the line is, right? So this is Gifu, and this is Aichi. Okay. Along the way, they stopped at a storage site and took 2 shovels to aid in their next task. At around 4:40 a.m., they carried out the horrific task of discarding Rie's body. Katie and Hori worked to move her remains beyond a guardrail and cover her with soil, using the shovels to conceal her as best as they could, even though they didn't really. Like, when police found her body, she was not even that covered. During this time, Hori realized that he might have left fingerprints on the handcuffs that they had used, so carefully he wiped them clean to avoid detection. Kenzie was instructed to stay away from the disposal site to, avoid drawing any more suspicion, because there was like, oh, too many of us are gonna be here. Like, someone's gonna think it's weird. Shortly after, he received a call from Katie or Hori with a simple, chilling message: "It is done. Come pick us up." So he was actually at a distance. He returned to collect the others and continued with their plan. Still, intent on accessing Rie's funds, they were still, they still wanted to access her account. The group tried again later that morning. At 9:10 a.m., they attempted to withdraw money at the Tsukyo Bank, in Chiryu branch. Well, it's just a branch of the bank. So they were trying to use various PIN combinations because they forgot the fucking PIN, but none of them worked. All attempts failed. Frustrated, they tried another ATM at a convenience store in Nagoya City around 10:35 a.m. But once again, every attempt to access the funds was unsuccessful because it was just, not incorrect numbers. Their frustration quickly turned into another horrifying scheme. That evening, the 3 decided to abduct another woman near Nagoya Station because they were just like, okay, well, this failed. We have to abduct someone else, and we have to do this all over again. So they were planning to become serial killers, right? Like, they were planning, okay, we're just gonna continue murdering. We're just gonna continue abducting people and getting their cash, their money, until we get this right. Yeah, so they were planning another murder. But first, they temporarily went their separate ways, plotting to regroup. They were just, okay, we're gonna regroup and let's continue the crime spree tomorrow. Like, oh, let's continue. Let's meet up later tonight or tomorrow and just continue, right? Like, they abduct another person. The group decided to separate for the night, rest, regroup, and plan their next crime for the following day. Guys, the moment they separated Kenji, the one who started this whole thing, because he's the one who posted on the dark web, that's the one, he went to a deserted parking lot, and at 1:30 p.m. he called the police to turn himself and his accomplices in. Oh my god. I mean, it's a good thing because, you know, they got arrested, but at the same time, oh my god. The moment they left him alone, he was just like, okay, well, this is it. This is where it ends. I'm gonna turn myself in and everyone else. Jesus. So he told the officers, we're just kind of circling back to the beginning of this video. He told the officers, quote, "We kidnapped a woman, stole her money, and buried her in Gifu Prefecture. It was a full admission of guilt and an act that would ultimately dismantle their plans and obviously get them arrested." Police immediately instructed Kenji to remain at his location, and less than an hour later at 2:17 p.m., 7 officers arrived and took him into custody. During an initial 15-minute interview at the station, Kenji revealed the location where Rie's body was buried. And later, at approximately 7:10 p.m., this is a picture from the following day, I think. Like, it wasn't even dark yet. Like, this is at, I think this was in the morning, or maybe, oh no, maybe, no, this might be actually a picture from that night, or like, yeah, like it wasn't even dark. But at 7:10 p.m., investigators uncovered Rie's remains in the exact spot he described. Her body, partially covered with soil, was a stark and heartbreaking confirmation of the crime. So it was true. Like, they were kind of hoping, like, oh, maybe this guy is just crazy. Maybe it's not actually true, but we have to check, obviously. And unfortunately, it was all true. He also identified his accomplices, KT and Hori. Acting on this information, the police quickly tracked both of them down. KT was apprehended. This is actually KT. He was apprehended near his home just as he was preparing to leave for another planned crime. Like, they were going to meet up and plan another murder. Hori was arrested later that evening after Kenji arranged for him to meet in front of his apartment, allowing officers to ambush him. So betrayal after betrayal. Isn't he the guy in charge of the whole thing? Bruh, stupid. Yeah, Kenji was the guy that started everything. So, you know, ultimately he's the guy that betrayed them all. Made blur the faces. Why? Why? Blur the faces of the criminal? Of the criminals? Why? I would not. Because they are just monsters, so I don't wanna... I'm not gonna hide their identities. Okay, it's not... honestly, it's not that it matters anymore. And you will find out why it doesn't matter that you see their faces. Okay, so all 3 suspects admitted their chilling motivation, stating that they had connected through the dark web and targeted Rie and wanted to steal her money, and then killed her because she had seen their faces, right? The IT Prefectural Police launched a full-scale investigation into the robbery, murder, and abandonment of Rie's body. By September 14th, 2007, prosecutors had formally indicted the trio on these charges, with Kenji facing an additional indictment for attempted robbery rape following a complaint from Rie's grieving family. During the investigation, KT made chilling statements that revealed his deeply disturbing mindset. He actually claimed, quote, "Once you kill someone, paying money or apologizing doesn't mean you've taken responsibility. That's the rule I live by as a criminal." And he went on to say, quote, "I follow my own rules, not laws made by others. I have no resistance to murder," end quote. Yeah, absolute monsters. Why didn't they just wear masks? Because they stupid. Because they were planning a murder. So they were just like, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're gonna kill someone. We're gonna get rid of the witnesses. So, yeah, well, it doesn't matter. In September of 2007, just weeks after Rie's murder, her mother, Fumiko, launched a campaign to demand the death penalty for the perpetrators. Within 10 days, over 100,000 people signed her petition. By October of the same year, that number had grown to 150,000 as she presented the petition to the Nagoya District Public Prosecutor's Office. And by December 2008, her petition had amassed an astounding 318,000 signatures. Mind you, even the fathers of the two of the perpetrators went public, and they publicly requested that their sons receive the death penalty, underscoring the gravity of their actions and their situation. Even the fathers were just like, this is not my son. These are not our sons, and they are monsters, and we want the death penalty for them. Hence, if you paid attention, hence why I said it doesn't matter if you see their faces. Hint. On March 18th, 2009, so that's 2 years after Rie's death, the Nagoya District Court delivered a historic verdict. Katie and Hori were sentenced to death, which was an extraordinary decision given the circumstances of a single victim. Like usually it's, they are given a death sentence. Like someone is given a death sentence if they murdered maybe more than one person. Like usually it's not for one person. Like if there's one victim, usually they go with life sentence. They don't go with that death sentence, but they received death penalty. The judge emphasized that their motives were, heinous, no mercy, leaving no room for leniency. Like the judge was just like, nope. She stated that capital punishment was the only appropriate sentence as their actions posed a severe threat to society, because she also took into account that they were planning another murder. So she's like, yeah, had they not been caught, they would have killed another person. So this calls for the capital punishment. Kenji, on the other hand, received a life sentence because the court acknowledged his cooperation with police, that he turned himself in, and he actually was the one had it not been for him calling the police, they wouldn't have been arrested. So, the judge considered that, and it had been, instrumental in the arrest of Katie and Hori. Reactions from the defendants were mixed. 4 hours after his the death penalty was announced, Hori admitted to journalists that the weight of the words capital punishment felt heavy, even though he had been prepared for it. Kenji, spared from the death penalty, expressed relief, saying, "I'm glad my surrender was counted." So this is what he said. These idiots. And then there's monsters. These guys were both. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. They were both. So for Rie's loved ones, for her mom, her dad, for everyone, the verdict was bittersweet. Her mom, Fumiko, expressed her disappointment that Kenji's life had been spared. Like, she said that she felt that, he was just as guilty and he shouldn't have been spared like this. She believed that all three should face the ultimate penalty for the devastation they caused. The three defendants sought to have their sentences reduced by appealing to the High Court of Nagoya. However, one of the key figures in this tragic story, Kanda, so KT, took a surprising step. Against his attorney's advice, he withdrew his appeal. So KT actually withdrew the appeal to lower his sentence, and effectively this finalized his death sentence on April 13th, 2009, and he was executed by hanging on June 25th, 2015. So Katie was, his penalty was executed. Meanwhile, prosecutors pushed back against what they saw as leniency in the case of Kenji Kawagishi. So he was the only one that got life sentence, but they were just like, no, he should also be on the death row. The High Court's ruling came on April 13th, 2011, and, they actually finalized his life in prison. And it just brought mixed outcomes. The court upheld Kenji's life sentence, it reduced Hori's death sentence to life imprisonment. So now the 2 out of 3 have life in prison, but that's gonna change. So the court justified this by ruling that both men bore less responsibility for the crime compared to KT. But then, this is where the biggest plot twist comes in. So Hori's story didn't end there, right? Like, okay, so Hori's sentence is first the death penalty. Then it gets, in 2011, it gets reduced to life sentence, right? But then, plot twist. So years later, Hori faced new charges for a double murder he committed in 1998. As it turns out, he killed a married couple in another city, in Hekinan City in Aichi Prefecture. So the same prefecture as Nagoya, but different city. And for that crime, because they discovered that he murdered 2 more people, he strangled them. Hori was ultimately sentenced to death, and he is currently awaiting his sentence. So Kenji still has life in prison, like his penalty is life in prison, but Hori and KT got death sentence, and this one is upheld. Yeah, this is the biggest plot twist of this case. In all of this, KT was posing as this like, oh, you know, hardened criminal. Oh, I'm the worst of you all. You know, like, oh, turns out that Hori was the one who actually had murdered someone before. 2 people before. So back in 1998, he was like, I think he was like in his 20s or something. Like he was young, like much younger, like 10 years earlier. So 22, 21. Yeah. As for Rie and her family, you know, Rie was a young woman with her whole life ahead of her, but in that single night, her future was stolen by individuals driven by just pure greed and cruelty. And yeah, like there's nothing that can compensate the family for this loss, because she's never gonna come back. And that is the end of the case. Oh my god, it took a while. It took a long time. Can't believe how long this was. Guys, thank you so much for sitting through this case with me. I know it was just a lot. It was pretty complicated, and it was like a lot of names, a lot of locations, and a lot of just... if you did like the video, if you like my content, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss another episode, so that you can be notified whenever I show up in my little dark corner of the internet. And if today's story resonated with you, please consider, you know, leaving a comment or sharing the video with someone who might find it informative, meaningful. And that is it. Agreed. Quite the case, but I've read even worse cases coming from Japan. Yeah, like I think this one, you know, there's definitely a lot of cases in Japan that are more shocking in terms of like what actually happened, of the crime itself. But I feel like just this one was, I don't know, like, I mean, to me, every single one of them is tragic. Like someone innocent just lost their life for essentially for their money, and you know, for someone who was greedy for their money. And that's not fair to anyone. That's not fair to the victim. That's not fair to the victim's family, and the victim's family will never ever be compensated for that. Even if the 3 perpetrators were sentenced, all three of them were sentenced to death, that would not compensate, ultimately would not compensate for the loss of their daughter. Okay. Humans can be pretty greedy. Humans can be evil, and I get it that there are like a lot of people out there who say like, oh, humans are, you know, at heart we are all good. Kind of disagree with that. Like humans can be pretty evil. We can be pretty evil. Like if we are put in certain situations, we can choose the wrong thing. We can be very just rotten to the core. That's it. Humans are random, like let me say this, unpredictable. Based on the situation that you are put in, humans can be unpredictable, and you can't, it's the human nature is just fucked up sometimes. Okay, pretty much. This is why humans are scarier than the monsters in the closet. Yeah, like there's, you know, it's people that are scary. Guys, thank you so much for, sitting through this case with me. I apologize that it was long, and I apologize that it was complicated, but I really wanted to talk about every single detail, because every single, detail in this case was important. And I think it was important to Rie's story. No, but at least there is now peace with this case ending with the consequences faced. Yeah, like at least they got pretty harsh punishment, because in some cases they don't get as much punishment as they should, right? Like there were a lot of cases that I covered where the perpetrators, the attackers, were actually not sentenced to life. They were not even sentenced to life. They were sentenced to like, oh, well, maybe 15 years in prison because of something, or like, oh, 20 years in prison at most, which is messed up. This stream was just honestly not smart on the people. Yeah, not smart on the people. But in the end, they did turn out to be monsters. Okay. By the way, I kind of gave a shout out to you on my channel. Check in community. Thank you so much. Hey. And there's a lot we just don't know. Yeah, that's true. Are those missiles behind you? No. They're cranes. What cranes? They're not missiles. They're cranes. Just cranes. What missiles? No. Oh my god. It's a construction site. Construction. Don't forget Trump is immune to witches. Oh yeah, witches can't take down Trump, unfortunately. No, I mean, unfortunately. I don't know. I'm like pretty neutral on this ground. So, whoever you voted for, like whoever you thought was the best, right? Honestly, I have no opinion. I'm just like, not my country. Like, I don't live in the States, so who am I to say anything? But yeah, witches. Thanks for the case, Sana. You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, that's it for today. What is the context on that? I missed the beginning. Oh yeah, wait, sorry. This came from like a witches coven. CBN announced that witches report their spells against Trump aren't working because he has a shield. It's the Illuminati. Illuminati involved. Probably. Okay, guys, thank you so much for the stream, for being here, for tuning in to the stream. For the stream, yes, I'm streaming, but thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you guys on Friday, and also I'm gonna talk to my Patreon members on Friday because we have a hangout, and we will be talking about the mysterious egg UFO discovered in Antarctica. So that's the topic for the next one, the upcoming stream on Friday. Might be the druids, maybe. Well, maybe the druids should try. I don't know. Everyone can try. I don't know. Politicians. None of them are good. Like, either side. Honestly, either side, none of them are good. You just choose the lesser evil, I guess. Okay. Guys, or what you think is, who you think is the lesser evil. Okay, guys, thank you so much for today. I appreciate your presence here. I appreciate that you guys, come in to watch my videos, come in to listen to the cases. We had fun watching your case. Yeah. What happened to the ghost outside Sona's office? What ghost? It's yeah, like from the previous stream. Oh, that was freaky. That was kind of terrifying, but the ghost is fine. I think it's okay. So far no signs, no other signs. So I'll see you guys. Wait, where do I see you? Yeah, I see you on Friday evening, and then I'll see you on Saturday and Sunday as well. So there's quite a few spooky streams this week. Thank you again. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for all the support. Stay safe out there. Always lock your doors and windows. Bury your hexes. Until the next time. Bye. Jose, thank you so much for the super. By the way, guys, did you guys know that over a course of a year, we consume about a ton of food and drink? So when someone says like, oh, I feel like I ate a ton, I'm like, yeah, you did in a year. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Stay tuna. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.